Hey guys, welcome to LOL starring Chris Smith, the best comedy show on Let There Be Radio. Why is that? It's because it's the only comedy show on Let There Be Radio. So, I have something I want to tell you all. It is a little known fact that in some corners of the multiverse, particularly those involving an overabundance of smog, gears, and bureaucracy, entire cities can evolve beyond reason, good sense, or even planning permission. One such place is even Greater London, a metropolis so vast, so inventive, and so thoroughly confused by its own progress. It's a wonder that anything gets done by accident or with murder. And that is Victoriocity of Greater London, a city so vast, so perplexing, and so great you could butter it on toast with a nice side of jam. And with it, I have such creators of the show who are pretty much so brilliant, so enticing, and pretty much the only ones behind what the city is going to be like, which is a worry in itself. Chris and Jen Sugden, thank you guys so much for being on the show. Hello there.
Hello.
Hiya.
How are you doing?
Hi.
I'm doing good. So, thank you so much for being at this business good, because I know you were just today at the Harrogate Literature Festival. How was that?
Oh,
Very nice.
it was
Very
lovely.
nice.
There was a lovely green room.
Yes,
We
lovely.
had mics, as much coffee as we could stuff into our faces.
Yeah, which was quite a lot because we're quite a little bit sleep deprived with newborn. But yeah, it's lovely. We love Harrogate. We're both from Yorkshire. It's nice being back up here for a bit. It's gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're up there right now promoting your recent book of Victoriocity, High Voltage, which
High
came
voltage.
out
Yeah.
earlier this year. I've listened to the book. I've loved it because it's listened by Mr. Peter Wicks, who was
Yeah, he does an amazing audiobook reading of it. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
terrific.
it was fun.
So talk me through a little bit of that. So it's one thing having an audio show about Victoriocity, about even Greater London. What was the transition to writing about it, a full proper book about it?
You want to go?
Yeah. It was really interesting because we came from sort of a live theatre background and then into audio drama first, to write Victoriocity, which is essentially it's a detective comedy set in this sort of huge version of London that spans the entire lower half of England. But because we'd come from, even though you're going from like live performance to just recorded audio, it's still a script. So you've just got dialogue. So in that sense, it wasn't that much of a change. But from script to prose fiction felt like quite a big jump, because suddenly you've got so much more time and space to fill. Almost, a novel is much longer than an audio drama series, and just in terms of the number of words. And of course, in prose fiction, I think people expect interiority of characters and things like that, which is something we hadn't done before. We'd got the script. I think we probably had an idea of how our two main characters, Fleet and Clara, might feel about things, but that comes through the voice actors' reactions and their delivery of lines. We'd not had to actually really think about it and kind of write it down on the page. So that was a big learning curve, I think, for us. Was there anything else, Chris?
I think it says. I think it's interesting from a comedy angle because it was kind of about learning to work with different muscles, right? We're so used to working on stage and then on audio, like radio play. Effectively, it's very dialogue heavy. It's very rat-a-tat, kind of back and forth. Everything's dialogue with sound design, and obviously the actors are elevating it hugely. So with prose, you don't have the actors. You have to do a lot of that sort of emotive stuff yourself and make the dialogue even clearer. But then you get people's internal states and the difference between that, what they think and what they say, which is really fun, and that's a kind of conversation in itself, which can be quite fun back and forth. And like Jen was saying, it's just much bigger. Victoriocity is a really large scope audio drama, right? The seasons of the show, each season is a standalone mystery, and they're quite large in scope. They're conspiracy thrillers, right? They tend to be. But the book High Voltage is much larger again, but just because of the size of how large novels are. So there are some sequences where one of our characters, Clara Entwistle, a journalist, finds herself on the east coast of London, which is, I don't know where is it? Was it Folkestone or somewhere down there?
Felixstowe.
Felixstowe. Where the engineer army of Isambard Kingdom Brunel are building this monstrous project.
Yes,
And I don't want to spoil what it is, but like, you know, it's nothing like she's ever seen before, and we can spend like a really long time kind of building up to it, the suspense, before finally seeing it, and then over time seeing what it does. And you know, we can spend a whole chapter on that. And there's something really fun about like luxuriating in the space that a novel gives you, which we do. You know, we take our time with the show sometimes as well, but they're different speeds, it's different media. It's just really fun to kind of like, you know, it's like a different sport almost, you know, but all kind of, you know, different ways of playing with the same world that we love playing in, and, you know, just trying to, you know, make people laugh just in, you know, from different angles.
Which I absolutely love. I mean, because Victoriocity, just in case anyone doesn't know, which is a very strange thing to listen to this, Victoriocity is, like you said, a comedy podcast set in Victorian England and even Greater London, where, I mean, the inspirations I love about this show is that it is almost in the sense, in terms of its writing, its characters, everything, quintessentially British. Because you get like a sense of like influences like Terry Pratchett in there, of like Douglas Adams, of like the kind of humor that's like over explanation of the most bonkers rubbish that you could come up with of what London could be like. Yeah. I mean, yeah, not to go to spoilers, but there's stuff involving like the circus in there, an entire town dedicated to a workforce, like. Mm-hmm. Oxford and Cambridge robots.
Oxford and Cambridge started as just a really throwaway joke.
That was one throwaway joke. It was something like shame about Cambridge. Shame what happened to Cambridge and the rest of Cambridgeshire.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And then like in the next season, we're like, okay, I guess we'd better explain what that was then.
And I think you thought that was funny initially because we live in Oxford, so it was quite funny to
make fun of Cambridge,
to suggest something bad had happened to Cambridge, and then it was like, okay, so what did happen to Cambridge? And I think you decided that basically the builders of the city had made a miscalculation with some dam, and it's basically flooded the entirety of Cambridge. So only one college physically survives
because it's on a hill.
Yeah. And the rest now are consigned to sort of flotsam-based learning in the sort of.
But what I love about that is it's just that particular scene. It's just not just because the premise of it is ridiculous, because it is just, you know, Oxford and Cambridge students just on a boat, just everywhere, just going around. But also, it's entirely clever because there's a philosophical question debated in between it. So it's just like
they're very big. Oxford is big on the tutorial system, right? Like, so they're not going to let something like an apocalyptic flood that destroys their entire county get in the way of that. They're gonna get on boats and they're gonna continue the tutorials about ethical systems or whatever it is, while also trying to survive and living in this sort of Mad Max.
That scene killed me every time. It just killed me.
That was very fun. That scene is one of our favorites. It's in the middle of our season 3. Was it season 3?
Season 3, like
season 3, and it features very heavily Andy Seacombe, who's this wonderful actor who we were very lucky to get to come in and do that part. He played the Don who was doing the tutorial, and he's just a phenomenal actor. It was so much fun. Yeah.
But you were touching it a little bit a while ago. It's just like you say these things, it's like, oh, it's a shame about Cambridge, and then it's like, oh damn, I should go do something about this. It is that sort of mindset of like, you can't just say throw away things because it's like, oh damn, we gotta actually do this now. Like, is there a lot of thought into these things?
I think like we come from our comedy. Our first steps in comedy were really through improv, right? And I think, like, you know, it's possible to kind of get a little bit too high church about improv, but like one thing that's very true is like ideas are gifts, right? Like if you have like an idea, you like somebody, if you know, will like if it's a fun idea, they'll bring it back later and they'll build on it. They'll do something with it. So we're always trying to kind of just have fun in the moment of the dialogue of characters in this world, like, and they know about stuff that's happened, right? We don't necessarily know about it. It's a Victorian megacity. Things are different there. So they refer to things, and we throw something out because it seems funny, and then I don't think we feel like we have to explain it. It's more we can later. It's like, oh yeah, let's actually do something with that now. Yeah. There are also some things that we've been challenged by fans to explain, and we can't. Like,
Yeah.
like what did you mean by that? And we have to think about that. Is it?
Well, I know one fan was particularly good enough that they actually drew the map. They drew the map of Even Greater
Yeah,
London.
yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah,
Big
yeah.
shout out to.
Which I imagine you must have looked at and gone, what the heck? How is this? I did
That
not
was
imagine. Okay.
Amazing, and it has a corresponding PDF document with locations included that were unplottable because they're mentioned, but we don't say exactly where they are.
Yeah, so the map is every location in Even Greater London, which spans lower half of England. So every location we've mentioned where it is, they've annotated it with what we've done to that part of the country. Like Cambridge is flooded, for example, and Cornwall has its shipwreck museum, and the entire south coast is the pleasure coast, which is just enormous Blackpool, basically.
Bristol and Cardiff are now one city called Castle, and they've sort of filled in the gap in between.
They filled in the seven. Yeah.
Well,
it's amazing.
It just says, look, because it's a show where I just keep, whenever I listen to it over and over again, I just keep thinking, man, I wish this was a TV show that I could just watch and see what these actually properly look like.
That would be unfilmable, but
no, it would be.
But if Netflix is listening,
as we always like to,
Apple TV, if they want the challenge.
There's also a few animatics out there of the show, which I know about, which are fun to watch.
Oh yeah, the animatics are fantastic. One of the great joys really is sort of just discovering on Tumblr or Instagram an incredibly talented listener has created a map or done an incredible drawing of Fleet and Clara, or they've done an animatic, or it's just or crocheted Queen Victoria, and somebody else did a needlepoint sort of quotation that we'd written. Like it's just like
it's lovely.
They're it's so nice. Like I love that. That just makes you
the
feel
dedication. Absolutely
it's such a lovely thing.
Well, we talked a little bit. Let's get into the characters. So your cast is absolutely fantastic, with the top two, Clara and Fleet, being played by Layla Katib and Tom Crowley. Who I understand Tom Crowley, who's obviously well known for a lot of other things, but Golden Coast. But you met him at Edinburgh Fringe, didn't you?
Yes, just total fluke. We happened to be performing. So Jen, we were in a comedy group, which had developed from an improv group into a sketch and then a narrative comedy theatre group over time. And we were up doing our second tour of the Fringe, I think. And we were at the Underbelly, and Tom's similar group actually was sort of sketch narrative comedy, the Sad Faces, right? Was doing their show, and they were in literally the same room as us, like 3 hours later or something. So I think you met him flyering, right?
We met each other flyering, exchanged war stories about the Fringe and like having to flyer and that kind of thing. And he was just, Tom is now a very dear friend, and it was clear straight away that he is just such a wonderful, warm, generous human being, and so we kind of hit it off very quickly, and I thought I've got to go see his show, and he was very funny, very engaging, so I went, I think literally that day actually of meeting him. We all went. Loved his show, fantastic. And then the next day he came to see ours, and tells us at least that he loved our show. And then we kept in touch, and offered him the part of Inspector Fleet, because he's just so he was just perfect for the role.
Was that a thing where it's like the moment you were thinking of who should Fleet be, it had to be, because Tom is perfect for the role. So
it's really interesting, because we started thinking about it and fleshing out before we really knew him that well. And then we got to know him a lot better and realised he was really talented. And when we were like casting, because now what we do is our show is entirely listener funded. And we're extremely grateful for that. So we can pay people properly. For the first season, it was Chris and I funded as much as we could. And a lot was done on very goodwill, on the idea that if it got to a second season that we could fund, we'd ask the same actors back, etc., etc. So a lot of it was done on goodwill and people just really liking the script. And I remember we just had a reading with a few people we were going to use to find the right parts for them. But we didn't think, because Tom is so busy and so brilliant, I think we sort of thought, well, we can't ask him to do Inspector
He
Fleet.
doesn't want to do this. He doesn't want to be a lead in a little podcast.
Yeah, like, and he's, it's a lot to ask of somebody, but if we could get him to, do like a really good cameo. So we got him to read to see what part would suit him. So we read Inspector Keller and Julius Bell, various characters. But then we didn't ask him to read for Inspector Fleet, but he read in for other people who were reading at the same time. And he read Fleet, and it was 2 lines. It was literally 2 lines. And one of them was just like, excuse me. It was literally that word. And when we were listening back to all the recordings, we recorded it because we wanted to get the right people in the right parts. We heard his delivery of, I think it literally was 2 words. And we were like, he is perfect. He is Inspector. Like, just from 2 words. Yeah. And we just kept saying, we can't ask him. So I had a phone call with him. And I think we were like, well, what kind of part do you fancy, Tom? Or something? And he said, well, I'd love to be Inspector Fleet. And we were like, what?
Really? Okay. Oh right. Good.
Twist my arm, don't you? Oh my God.
Yeah. So he was delighted and we were delighted. And I think initially we just thought we can't ask it so much of it, his time, because he was already, well known for wooden overcoats and various other things. He's so, busy and brilliant. But we were absolutely thrilled. And he is perfect. And then Layla Khatib as Clara Entwistle is also equally perfect in that role. She's phenomenally good.
Yeah, we know her through sort of Oxford's theatre circles, and she's done a bunch of shows, and we thought she was terrific. And she read in, and she has, as anybody who's listened to the show knows, she just has this beautiful voice. She sounds perfect for this very well-bred person from the north of England. Well, Clara Entwistle is from the north, but she's from such a well-off background, she doesn't sound like she is. But she's very well spoken. She comes out, but she gets all the humour, and they're both absolutely perfect for their roles. And of course, after the initial season, we're writing for them. You know what I mean? So we can kind of play to how they sound, and
Well, I mean, we can't ignore the fact that you're still a cast, not including yourselves. You play Miss Bertie, you play Inspector Keller. To Inspector Keller, who unfortunately, has some of my favourite lines in the entire show.
You've got to write yourself the best.
He gets some gifts of lines. It's true.
Was it intentional that you two wanted to be in it, or was it just that you couldn't find anyone else and decided to do it?
I think we had come from a performance background, although we prefer writing, and I think we'd always said we will cast the best person in the role, but we enjoy performing. And funnily enough, I wrote 2 parts with the view that I would play them because I loved them so much, Augusta Bell and Mrs. Hampshire from season 1. But when we auditioned people, the people who auditioned were just so much better than me. and for those roles, they just got them. You've got Jem Arrowsmith, an absolute freight train of talent, comedian, and Debbie McLean plays Mrs. Hampshire. And she's a professionally trained, brilliant actress. I mean, I didn't stand a chance. They were so good. There was something about Chief Inspector Keller that I think he is so much almost a part of you, deep in your soul, that just a few people read for him, and really it just is your sort of alter ego voice.
I think so. It wasn't written for me.
No, it wasn't written for you, but you just got the delivery.
It?
Yeah.
I think there's something in Keller about the delivery, and because you write a lot. I write a little bit of Keller, but mainly Chris writes Keller.
He's probably that sort of. There's something very deep and psychological about his attitude to the world. He's an unhinged maniac, right? In a position of authority, in a position of authority, but also sort of the wise elder figure.
He's our Ron Swanson.
There is something of the Ron Swanson about him. I guess that just fit quite naturally.
Yeah.
I mean, but also it wasn't supposed to be a big part. Right, it was just whatever was needed for the first season.
He's just grown.
Yeah.
Isn't he? But one of my favourite things about the show, I suppose I shouldn't say it about my own show, but is his relationship with Mrs. Keller, who's played by an actress called Lucy Rayfield, who's this very soft-spoken, beautiful Welsh voice, and just the combination of those and her sort of being this long-suffering wife, it's just it just works really well with you, I think.
I think she seems not to be suffering very much because she's sort of unflappable.
Yeah.
But he suffers from her being sort of like perfect and like wonderful. And like
yes, because
an
one
abundance
of my favorite scenes of Killer is in season 3, where it's like him and his wife are interacting on like the giant bus.
Oh, the police bus, yeah.
The police bus, which is just a conversation which just doesn't. Again, like she's just nonchalantly just manages to get there, like is dedicated to her husband. He's just like, this is not what I need right now. You
No,
He's
exactly.
made his team
Yeah.
Welsh rarebit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
She's talked her way onto a secure vehicle with like so from his point of view, like, it's nice to see you, darling, but like
What are you doing here?
my staff should not have allowed you in. This is a secure location. Right?
No, 'cause
Something has gone very wrong.
Because he has one of my favorite lines, which is like, right, so not only did you fed my subordinates hot cheese, but you fed them first.
So that's right.
Which is fantastic. So, I mean, 3 seasons of Victoriocity have come out, including a book and a special with the Pharaoh's Tomb, which is fantastic. We'll dive into the question that everyone wants to know now. What are the plans for future seasons, if there is one?
Well, there will be future seasons. There's always future seasons, but at the moment we're finishing up preparations for a long-promised bonus musical episode, which was part of our last Kickstarter.
No way, really.
Yes, yeah. So it's inspired by Chief Inspector Keller being one of sort of a fan favourite character.
Yeah.
And he mentions in season 2 that he's a big Gilbert and Sullivan fan.
Oh yeah.
And so we were looking for a stretch goal for the Kickstarter, and we decided against our better judgment, because we got caught up in the excitement of the Kickstarter. And overpromised. So we basically the premise is that Chief Inspector Keller is the sort of director and president of the Gilbert and Sullivan Society, amateur Gilbert and Sullivan Society, and it's the opening night of their latest production, not one of Gilbert and Sullivan's best. But somebody is trying to kill him whilst the show goes on, and he's trying to make sure the show still goes on. But with that, instead of just being like, let's do that and we'll just do Pirates of Penzance or something, we decided, no, I know what we'll promise. We will promise that we will write a brand new Gilbert and Sullivan musical that we have made up.
You promised to write a Gilbert and Sullivan musical.
Yeah, we've written a Gilbert and Sullivan, a Gilbert and Sullivan-esque musical,
Yeah.
I would say.
What's worse than that, writing it or having to now sing it?
Well, we'll find out.
Yeah.
Because Keller's obviously doing the Pafter song, so it's not in its entirety a full musical, but there are several full musical songs that we've written the libretto for, and largely Chris, to be fair, and Lawrence Owen of Mockery Manor and Ballad of Anna Mary has done the music for. He's absolute musical genius. And that's being recorded in November and should be out in the new year. So that's been a challenge, but really fun.
Yep, that's very exciting. That will be called the HMS Califor. Just because why not? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, why
that's
not?
the reaction we want. Oh God.
Just why not?
Yeah. So that's one thing.
The book.
And the other thing is the second book, the follow-up to High Voltage. We're also in the process of finishing that up, but publishing moves slowly, so we don't know exactly when that will be coming out.
But hopefully the next year or so.
Yeah.
Can we say the title?
Sure.
The title is, you heard it here first, Goodfellows, and Fleet and Clara given an offer they can't refuse, in which they have to help one of the many sort of crime syndicates in the underbelly of the city solve a murder.
Wow. Okay, exclusive on Love to Be Ready. Now before I get that.
There you go. Yeah.
So one more thing before we get into the quick fire. So you said you regularly do performance a lot. That was your early days, including improv. Is there?
Yeah.
Was a lot of the chances when you were writing something and then you actually heard it, was a lot of times we had to went, can we do it this way? And you went no, or was it like, were you happy to sort of let them make up their own lines, or like, did you make up your own lines or bits into the show?
What, when recording Victoriocity?
Yeah, when recording.
We tend to do a process that's like we record it as scripted. If somebody has another idea that they want to try, we'll try that too. And often, like, you know, we take feedback, right, like, you know, from everyone, because like we're not precious about these things. So, and some things have been rewritten in studio because like the joke wasn't quite landing. We figure it out with, you know, like very quickly with pen and paper. Like, so it's all very there's like it's very high effort, but like, you know, we script things within an inch of their life, and we revise and revise and revise, but also we try to get a bit of that sort of improvisational energy in there as well. And then of course, when you're in the editing suite, there's even more like editing to be done, and sometimes things change a little bit. You go back and record something slightly differently because you, in the edit, it didn't sound the way, you know, or you realize it's, you know, there's a discontinuity or something like that. So it's not finished when we finish the script by any means. Like there's always a, you know, quite a bit of change.
Yeah, I think so. In terms of just actors improvising, there's not huge amounts of improvisation on the day, but we will try and for each scene do a loose take where lines might get slightly changed, or Tom might just improvise like a riposte to something that'll make it in. I think the main little sections where you tend to get a little bit of improvisational play is with Queen Victoria and Prince Albert.
They're bickering back and forth.
They're bickering back and forth. Ada and Nathan are brilliant. They're a comedy duo, and actually we're part of our live comedy theatre group as well, so we know them very well. And they've worked together for so long, for so many years, and we're just so perfect as Prince Albert and Queen Victoria that they're bickering back and forth. They often will slip in a little line that's just so golden we'll want to keep.
Yeah, that stuff's really good, but in scenes, because like the show is structurally a detective thriller, there's a limit to how much you can go play around with the dialogue, right? Because like, you know, the plot has to work. It's just finding a balance. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the other thing with that is that it is quite a wordy audio series, in the sense there's a lot of dialogue that a lot of people have to sort of explain or have to go through. Has there ever been any particular passages or any bits where you were just like, when you wrote it out, you were like, oh, I really wish I didn't have to write this because I'm going to have to say it, aren't I?
No, but we should have realized what tends to happen is with the narrator, our wonderful narrator Peter Ray gets probably the hardest job in the show, which is to read these incredibly ornate, sort of like, you know, multi-layered introductions to new locations or new concepts or anecdotes or little vignettes about the world. And because it's not dialogue, we can get quite intricate with those, and they sometimes are really hard to act. And there's a good, you know, few meters of cutting room floor like tape of just him like cursing our names, right? Unpublishable, like, you know,
well, you say that.
Stuff.
You say that. I mean, it is unpublishable, but we for season 1 Kickstarter, I think we did like a one of the rewards was like a little blooper reel, and I think the last like sort of 5 minutes is expletives from Peter. Peter Ray.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Because he gets some of the jokes that are very fun to write, which are like it's a compounding joke. And that only a narrator can really do, because you're explaining something and then you build on it and you build on it and you build on it, and there's some kind of payoff at the end. But they can be really hard to say, and of course, you know, you have to get it right all in one go.
And then there's the upcoming Patter song that Chris has written for himself. So
that's Karma.
This will be Karma for you.
Yeah.
Because that is very fast, and when Lawrence emailed us the sample, he says this is very hard, as I'm sure you know.
Very hard to sing. So that's our modern Major General equivalent.
Oh my god, that's good. I mean, because I imagine it's not just you that's going to be singing. You've also got the rest of the cast doing their bit.
We've got people in. Well, not the usual cast mainly. So Clara and Fleet are backstage solving the mystery and occasionally darting onto stage. But what we have in the Gilbert and Sullivan Company is Keller and a lot of people who can actually sing, like because Keller can sort of sing, but we're working
Well,
with
no,
some brilliant.
we heard you at the funeral. Yeah, you can.
Yeah,
you can hum
exactly.
a
Like
tune.
he sings, but it's not the sort of the most beautiful voice. But we've got some performers who we know from Oxford Operatic Society and other kind of like great sort of singers to kind of build a real sense of like this is a real performance being put on by the Greenwich Amateur Gilbert and Sullivan Society. So yeah, that should be fun.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Have you ever wanted to, or have you wanted to take it live? To do like not live to actually perform, like live as in perform, go to like festivals and things with the cast and do the shows there?
I mean, so we've done live shows, live recorded readings, but we've done them either at like the London Podcast Festival, which is kind of set up for it as like a one-off, or we've done it in our hometown because they've got a great theatre there, and it, and we're very lucky that listeners will come and support it, and it's really fun because even though we've also got it in normal audio form, there's something quite fun about watching actors perform it live and things go wrong and that kind of thing. So that's really fun. But in terms of going to festivals, that would be amazing. But the difficulty with that is we just in terms of cost, like to get the whole, we've got a large cast, to get them all there and pay them for their time and pay all their travel expenses. We'd probably with a festival be hemorrhaging money, I would imagine. but
we headlined Coachella, then we could do it.
Yeah. So, but once finally we reach Night Vale levels of fame,
yep,
then we'll be able to do the festivals.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And like your good self, helping spread the good word. We very much appreciate it.
Well, it'd be very amusing it would be amusing to see you perform. Not here, but at least near, like somewhere near, like the Albert Hall, where you can have Albert quote himself of like how weird it is to have an Albert Hall after himself.
That would be fantastic. Hey, we haven't done anything about the Albert Hall yet, have we?
No,
we really should.
We should do the Albert Hall,
that is very funny. Yes.
Just because I know we're running for time, there was a lot of fan art out there, a lot of fan animatics, a lot of things out there.
Yeah.
Are any of them the most surprising? The way that they've drawn the characters of like we going like, oh, that's how they see them, or is it all what you expect?
What the one that I have, there's a lot of variety in how the characters are represented, which is really lovely, and I think it's because we've never really described our characters very much. You've just got their voices to kind of work with, right? We describe them a little bit here and there, but like not to like any fine detail. So there's been great variety. It's very cool to see all that and the different costume that they put them in and stuff like this. The one that was very funny was recently. I think this has been the first time somebody's drawn Fleet in a way that actually looks like Tom Crowley. I thought that was quite funny. And I think that was totally unintentional. It just happens to look like what Tom looks like. I don't think it was, by design.
Yeah, and I don't know, because in my head, I don't know. Because Tom and Fleet and Clark and Layla are so associated with characters now, I sort of in my head, that's sort of what they look like, I suppose. But I love seeing like different interpretations of them. There's a strong faction of people who very strongly believe Fleet is ginger.
Yes. Yeah, interesting. That. What's that about?
Really?
Yeah.
Ginger Fleet movement.
Yeah.
But no, I love it. I really love the variety.
There's been some good fan art as well over the years of Queen Victoria, which if we haven't mentioned in this segment, like Queen Victoria in Victoriocity is she's a cyborg, right? She's been
a mechanized war tank, essentially.
She's a mech. She's been assassinated 11 times and resuscitated and rebuilt by Royal Mechanical Engineers using technology reserved for the royal family, because that's how it should be, obviously. Can't let everybody have this sort of immortality stuff. And so she had now at this point has sort of reached RoboCop sort of like light armored tank levels of battle capability. She's terrifying in many ways, and people represent that like that. That's a really fun thing for people to design, because we sort of describe it a bit, but not entirely. Yeah.
But I imagine that must be strange, just because whilst you describe her a little bit, not in full detail what she looks like, and now you have like fans draw her out or even crochet her apparently. Just you look at it and go, huh. I did not think I could be more terrified or respectable in this manner. It's great.
And I think this is, because like Jen and I were drawn to like doing audio drama because like we kind of grew up on it. Like, you know, like that. I don't think there's like a canonical explanation of what, like, you know, Arthur Dent looks like, or like Marvin the Paranoid Android. Like there are bits of like explanations of what they look like, you know, and similarly with like other like dramas you would get over the years from the BBC and stuff like that. Like you don't necessarily go into description in the same level of detail that you might in a book necessarily, maybe because you have the voice. So like I really love that a large part of it, like, you know, Fleet, you know, as a, you know, a young-ish, young to early middle-aged, you know, male, like, who lives in London and is a detective, and that's all you really know. And it's and the Queen, you know what's happened to her and what she can do, but you don't want to list everything about it. You want to leave a lot of things up to the listener's imagination. That's what's really fun. Yeah.
But has there ever been, like, because I know there's a lot of like new technologies and other things, like you don't just have a simple phone, you have like a sort of a very weird visual phone, which is hilarious in terms of how it's done. Is that really hard to describe?
So the locution glass, our sort of Victorian Zoom thing.
Has there been some technologies in there where it's like, oh, this is great to think of, and it's like, how do we describe this?
You described it. I really love the way because you read the very first description of it, and I like it.
That's one of the examples that is actually quite closely described. We describe that as sort of being like a bathroom mirror, and it's like a sheet of mercury that starts forming puddles, and then the puddles gloop in, like, and there's magnets on the back that you end up with something that looks like an image of somebody else. So it's like you have to imagine, you know, Victorians, they can build a video screen, but it's not going to look like ours. It's not, but it will work. So that's really fun. But yeah, sometimes we hand wave completely because that's just funnier, right? Like it's just, you know, there's all kinds.
But has there been a town or a scene or something where it's been really, really difficult to describe what it actually looks like?
Where we've needed to describe what it looks like, where it's been difficult. I'm not sure.
I have an answer for this.
Okay.
It's in the new book. It's the equine electrovelodrome.
Oh yeah, even now I still don't know what that really.
What we just thought it was a fun thing. So it's basically, I think we've decided it's like, so in our world that one of the most popular sports is horse cycling. So it's horses on bicycles.
Yeah.
So in this book, so we saw like what would they race around? So we decided it would be like a velodrome, but built for horse bicycles.
Yeah.
And that's
the speed a horse could get to on a bicycle, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, men, like people can get to high speeds on bicycles. Horses can get to high speeds without bicycles, right? Put the two together, which I'm surprised no one ever has. And
I'm hearing the humor, like this should work. Let's do it.
There's no reason why we shouldn't do this. But of course, to make it work, you would have to bank the track like a NASCAR track, right? You're gonna have them banking around the corners, or they'll just fly off into the crowd and kill 20 people, right? So that takes some description. Yeah.
So I think that and the horse cycles themselves have been really tricky.
Yeah.
To kind of describe in a way that will make sense to the reader. So hopefully we'll pull it off, but you can tell us when the book comes out.
I mean, is that up there on this is the most bonkers idea we've come up with for this show?
Oh, that is pretty bonkers. Horses on bicycles.
That's quite high up there. I mean, but I mean, we, you know, in season 2 we had a circus in the sky, right?
Yeah,
In the most bonkers stuff actually might be, some of it is in season 1. We've actually kind of we've got toned it down a little bit since then, because when I think we were all over the place. There's a character in season 1 who is they are sort of, their entire body is sort of riddled through a glacier, right? The character of Quaternius, they're underground in the glacier, and
I'm trying to think back to the underground tunnels and such. Yes.
Yeah, and they're just alive, but like they're sort of half in the ice, sort of like, but bits of them are sort of further behind them in the ice, but they're still alive because of channels that have component. That's really weird. That's quite strange.
Looking like,
Yeah,
we were just throwing everything out in season 1.
And we remembered about that because somebody had done a Tumblr post, and it was something like, it was like Fleet, you know, disbelieving, you know, like something quite believable. Me, sir, you have you've chatted with an immortal ice person.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh yeah, that wasn't. was quite mad. I suppose the other really, really mad thing is Prince Albert.
Prince Albert himself, yeah, that's true.
Because I absolutely adore Queen Victoria, I'm slightly obsessed with her, like just her history and her as a person. She really loved Albert and mourned terribly for years and years, never stopped mourning after he died. And anyway, like was commented on publicly. And we thought, okay, well, in this world, often with our stuff, it's what if that, like if the Victorians had this technological capability that we've given them, what would they have done? And I think I decided that if Queen Victoria really was like turned into some sort of cyborg, and there was the technological capability to do it, I think she would have had Albert's consciousness absorbed into her own body, so he could be immortal for all time with her. And I also think
whether he liked it or not.
Yeah, whether he liked it or not. And I think he'd be a little bit miffed about it.
It's a lovely but also pretty dismissive relationship now.
Yeah. So it's so I think like. I think that's a pretty mad thing and a really bizarre. Like I think we explain it quite well in the series, and people love it as an idea. But when
we don't explain it at all. We just say it's happened, like about as much as we did just then.
Yeah, no, I know. Sorry. What I mean is we introduce it.
Sure.
We
okay.
introduce it, and listeners really got on board and they really like it and they love that relationship.
Yeah.
But I think it is something when you try to explain to people that this is a part of the world, it does make what we write sound utterly insane.
You can't lead with that. You can't lead.
No.
We lead with really big London. London. People are okay with that. And then if you're still listening, 45 minutes in, we can get into the Prince Albert's immortal, living inside the cyborg body of Queen Victoria. Yeah. If you're still with us, right, then then you're ready.
I do love that because there are some with Victoria. There are some where it's just like you don't have to know how she got there really into detail, but it's just a little like. Yeah, okay, I'll accept it. That's just the way it is.
Absolutely, just gotta go with the flow sometimes. Yeah, absolutely.
Because this is very much a steampunk kind of a world that you have built, which I absolutely love. Because you don't get that a lot now these days.
Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, we're drawing on all different sources. There's obviously there's not even that much steam. There's the infinite energy from this electrical sort of Tesla punk tower.
Yes,
but in the sense of it being technologically advanced Victorian, like there's lots of different ways to explore that, and what would they do, like Jen said.
All right, well, I know we haven't got much time there, but let's go for the quick fire rapid fire questions that I ask every podcast shows. So
great.
Let's just have some fun with this, and I'll give as much leeway as possible, and I'll add my own to it if it helps. So
please.
Yeah. Okay. Easiest episode to write.
Easiest episode to write. Maybe the.
Well, for you.
For me, I'm not sure there's an answer to the easiest one. The first one, before we even thought that hard about where we were going, or
possibly that. I think my easiest one is season 3, episode 3, which is the sort of the weird Bishop's Bromley. There's like a place in even Greater London where they've cast off electricity and they've covered themselves in a cage that stops electricity getting in.
Oh yeah,
the Faraday cage town.
Yeah.
The reason that was quite easy to write, I think, partly was because we've made it a place with no electricity, so it can't really have any bonkers stuff in. So that's sort of like cut down on world building we had to do. But the reason I think it was quite easy is it ends up in this sort of Crucible style accusation scene with these kind of creepy villagers that is quite a big bulk of the episode, and I had such a clear idea, I think, of what we wanted that to be.
Right.
We knew exactly how we wanted that to kind of come off, and so when we sort of knew exactly what the characters were going to be, so. And not a lot of plot happens. It's just
it's kind of a bottle episode.
It's a bottle episode.
Yeah.
And so because of that, there was plenty of room just to play and make the characters really, really funny. And all it does is right at the end, I think we get one bit of information that moves the plot forward. Rather with other scenes that they go to, other episodes, they go to far more locations and meet more people, and there's far more world building and plot coming out. So I think that was probably the easiest episode to write.
Okay, then let's move on to hardest episode to write for.
Right, I know. So leaving aside anywhere we got tangled with the plot, because that's happened in several places. The hardest, I imagine, if not the hardest, one of the hardest ones was also in the last season, the episode which is set almost entirely on a train. No, not almost entirely. The second half is on the train.
Yes, I do know that. Yeah.
So it's the same episode as the episode set in Cambridge with
the lake. Yeah.
With the lake. So Fleet and Clara catch a tutorial punt to basically a floating pontoon bridge to then get onto a train to pursue somebody that they believe to be on the train, right? And then we've got a really interesting thing for the rest of the episode where Fleet's at one end of the train and Clara's at the other end of the train, and they are so we've got split perspective already, and they are searching for somebody from either end and meeting in the middle, and then eventually finding somebody and chasing up and down the train. So this required a map of the train because we were going to go to the same places. We're starting at either end and we're meeting in the middle, so we're seeing the entire train. We can't just mess about and say we're somewhere else now. So we have to see the entire train, and we go backwards and forwards through it, and it has to be in the right order. Because if you go to the front and then turn around and go back, you're going to be next to the front. You're not going to be somewhere else. So there's all these little scenes, these little vignettes that are happening in all of these other carriages. There's a Poirot style denouement taking place in one of them, because there's a
it takes too long trying to set up the
it takes far too long. So there's he's just bloviating endlessly. So there's Orient Express style mystery happening in one of the carriages. There's a viewing gallery at the front. There's a dining car in the middle. There's a gift shop. There's a locution call booth thing where Chief Inspector Keller is on the phone and Fleet's listening to begin with and then leaves and comes back and Keller's still going. So there's like 10 different stories as well as the actual main plot which we're supposed to be following. And so keeping track of all of that in place while also developing these vignettes, to escalate in the way that sort of little sketch stories should. That was really hard, but it was
it's come off well.
It's very, very rewarding. It came
I know, because that is like an absolutely fantastic scene. Because like the whole Poirot stuff. There's a couple involved in a towel that suddenly gets involved in there.
The people having a secret tryst. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Okay, moving on. So, easiest character to write for.
Oh.
Easiest character to write for.
I think Septimus Bell.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, Septimus, who's played by an amazing actor called Phil Cottrell. So again, we just got kind of just know what he can deliver in our minds. Septimus is just such a clear character. He's a pathologist, but he's quite morose and sad, and he wants to be everybody's friend, and he's very lonely. So
he has because he's the forensic pathologist, he has a clear function in every detective story, right? He turns up and tells you about the body or the scene. So in one sense, he has a very straightforward job, but he also will bring his own personal style into it. He has his personal life. He has a terrible sense of humor to keep himself sort of chuckling away in the dark basement with these bodies. It's sort of a bit of he's just very, very fun to write.
Yeah.
Okay.
Possibly him. Yeah.
Good one. Now the flip side, hardest character to write for.
Probably different answers depending on different people.
Hardest character to write for. I would say it's hard. It's probably hardest to write for Fleet and Clara.
Yeah, I was going to say
because they're the protagonists and they have to experience the story in a way that other people don't necessarily. They have to charge through and solve the mystery. They have to experience setbacks. There's their own relationship, which is developing across multiple seasons. They have their own backgrounds and points of view, which they bring to this city and how it's changed them and how they're now changing, viewing things. And that there's a balance to be struck between making some characters can just be funny, right? But your protagonists can't, or it would just be exhausting. They have to be real people, right? So that's harder because they are, they have to be real. You have when they have real setbacks, you have to really feel it, right?
Okay.
And we don't go that heavy as a show, but you want there to be real stakes. You want them to really feel like they're persevering and triumphing at the end, and that if there's loss, that it's real loss and real triumph. That's probably hardest because it's real stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, and best joke / bit that you remember.
Best joke.
I Oh, I think a bit that I remember. I mean, I'm fond of, very, very fond of lots of bits. And often our humour doesn't necessarily come from like a punchline joke necessarily.
No.
But one joke that is a particular favourite. I don't know if it's the favourite, but it's popped into my mind, so I'll say it. It took us a while to land on it. But it's season 3, and it's Fleet is talking to his old boss, Chief Inspector Keller, about various things, and they're talking about an informant that's a macaw, and
that's right,
yeah, and who the boss, Chief Inspector Keller, says broke a smuggling ring last year. Fleet replies, "Really?" And he says,
Keller says, "Yeah, it'll be quite a while before anybody hears again from the Wannacracker brothers."
That was a punchline joke.
The thing with that is that's not even the kind of joke we normally write. But
I like that. That's a good.
It's very silly. It's very silly.
I mean, I'll throw one of mine as well. One of my favorite jokes is I think it's like season 3, but it's where Keller is on the way in the police station to interview who Archibald has taken custody, and his assistant going through all the bits that he has to go through.
He's walking through the station.
Like, I mean, Home Secretary is like, it's like, your thing is assassination chicken. Oh, that's I'm sorry, what chicken?
Assassination chicken. Yeah. What was that? Was that based on Coronation Chicken?
It was based on Coronation Chicken.
So let's have assassination chicken.
And there's a really good punchline to that, which you wrote, which I do love, which you've just reminded me of, which is actually probably my favourite joke, which is he says, she's asking what should the menu be, and I think he says, in the end he goes, pork chops, and she says, and for the vegetarians, and he says, no pork chops.
Yeah.
I love that. That's very good.
They made their choice. Yeah.
All right, and last question of the day, which I know will probably be the hardest. Favorite episode?
This is very hard. Favorite episode?
There's two. It's like asking to choose between our children, which we now have 2 of, and it's really easy actually. There is a favorite, but I'm not going to say which one it is.
It's whichever one lets us sleep more.
Exactly.
Fair enough.
On that particular day.
On that particular day.
No, there's too many good episodes. The episodes that we're fond of, but I would say the one that's coming to mind right now is the last episode of season 3, which is the last episode that's gone out on the main Victoriocity story feed so far. The reason just being because the culmination of the mystery, the actor who plays it, he does this wonderful performance of why what's happened, and also we get a really nice arc from one of the minor characters. And we see them develop in a way which is more real than I think we've done with some of our minor characters before. I don't want to spoil that because it's an interesting subplot, but also because it clearly cues up a separate set of stories for that character. So that seems really fun to me. We had a lot of fun with how that character develops from where they start to what they have decided to go off and do at the end. That sounds really vague. I'm sorry. It would be spoilers if I said anything more, but it's just fun. Yeah.
I think my favourite episode, although again it is really hard to choose, is season 2, episode 4, which is the circus.
Oh, that
episode.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, the circus is great.
Yeah, a sort of a flying circus. We meet some really good characters. In the circus themselves, like this really sad like circus owner who's just having a really hard time. It's really hard to run his circus, and it's just like people just keep getting injured, and they're looking for somebody, and it's the birth of the Church of the Mechanical Man. So our Fleet in season 1 has basically it dies and is sort of revived by Queen Victoria's mechanical engineers. And there's a sort of quite a fun moment where a vicar meets him and recognises him and thinks realises he's basically like Jesus. He's been resurrected. And that's really fun and led to a really fun kind of concept in our world, which is the Church of the Mechanical Man. But also that episode has, it's really fun. It's got like a big top scene and it's got a strongman scene. But the end of that episode might be probably the best twisty cliffhanger thing we've ever done. And we remember we performed it live, and the live shows for season 2 came out before the show on the main feed. And I remember that, like, I think it's quite a funny episode. So the whole audience, they were laughing all the way through.
Yeah.
And the final twist, which is right at the end of the episode, the audience went silent. Well, they gasped in unison and went completely silent. And it was just like, it gave me goosebumps. And I think for that reason, probably that's my favorite episode.
That was fun. Yeah.
I love that. I mean, I got two. My one of them will always be the train in Cambridge, which is just because it is just bonkers in every aspect of it. It's brilliant.
Sure.
But also the finale of season 2, like how you resolve everything.
Oh yeah. Season 2 finishes with a chase along a boat trying to escape to enemy territory.
Yeah, because no spoilers, but there is an animatic of that bit, which is hilarious, which will just show.
That is great. Yeah.
That's a really fun episode. That's true. Yeah.
All right, Chris Jen, I have taken so much of your time, and it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
It's been great fun.
This is so much fun, and sorry, we.
No, we
can't make it longer. We've had.
I know. I wish I could have you here longer, but you've got 2 young kids who need more attention than I do.
Yeah.
One is bedtime now, so we have to go and sort that, and the other one is still a little potato, but it's her feeding time.
But let's just end this right. So, where can people find you to promote you? Where can we have all that?
So you can find High Voltage at any bookstore online.
You don't need to listen to the podcast to read the book.
That's right.
And vice versa.
That's right. But since I'm speaking, I'll just explain. Vault is like a bank vault. That's how you spell High Voltage. So you can find that anywhere, any library, any bookshop. Victoriocity is available on any podcast host, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, wherever. That's available for free right now, 3 full seasons. You can listen to that first. You can read the book first. You can listen to the book on Audible, read by the terrific Peter Wicks. So go find any of those. And if you you can also follow us on socials. We are Victoriocity Pod in most places. And I am on most places Chris Sugden without any of the vowels. And Jen, what are you in most places now? Dr. Jen Sugden?
No, I'm Jen Sugden or Jen Sugden Author sometimes. Yeah. Instagram, I think I'm Jen Sugden Author.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for this time. I look forward to hearing more episodes versus Victoriocity. I can't wait for the musical, which is going to be fantastic. And I can't wait for the new book that's going to come out next year. Everybody, this has been a fantastic time. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoy this time. We'll see you guys next week, same time, same place. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.